Hi, this is another episode of Treasure Valley NA Quick Tips. How this came to be, the podcast was I am a franchise owner of a Network in Action franchise, which are out of Houston, Texas. And you put together groups of local business professionals that are experts in their field. And we meet once a month and brainstorm and try to help each other grow our businesses. And through that franchise, I meet a lot of really high caliber people that are experts in their field, so I like to bring them on and share them to the audience. So today's a perfect example of um, someone I'm bringing on who's an expert in their field, has a couple years of experience. Victoria, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Victoria DeGroot, and I work with Lotus, Boise, Corp. And we are a group of radio stations and a full digital agency.
Cool. That's awesome. You radio's kind of been around forever, so that's another reason why I thought it'd be get you on here is because, um, you know, unless you're in an industry, that's what I learned by a lot of people I bring on here is you really don't know what you don't know because you're not in the industry. So how did you get started in broadcast media or
Um,
broadcast
I
marketing?
I had moved from Seattle to Boise back in the 90s and found myself a job at the big newspaper in town and worked there for a few years and really, really loved helping businesses grow with print advertising when that was a thing. And I met some people that worked in radio, and they said, "Hey, you should work in radio. It's a lot more fun. There's a lot more flexibility with the things that we can do for customers." And so they recruited me, and I jumped, and I've been there ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. So more than a decade.
Um, Next month it will be 26 years.
Wow, you started
Yeah,
when you were 4, so that's
yeah.
cool. Awesome. Yeah, and the company you work for, Lotus Communications, they're family owned.
Yes, our owner is 93 years old, and he
Wow.
still goes to work most days. He's very involved. He calls our general manager when he has things to say, and then his son is our CEO, and they're very nice people. And instead of being corporate owned, where somebody cares about what's on the stock market,
Right.
it's all of our local stations are empowered to do what's best for their communities, which
I
is
love that.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And we're here in the Treasure Valley, Boise metro area and stuff like that. So that is great because we're all about that, keeping things, local and what people want here in the valley.
Yes, yes, and it's very nice to have that because we have been corporate owned a few times. I've been through 3 owners since I've been at these radio stations, so I've seen
Wow.
it all.
Cool. So, the old saying of, you know, marketing is great, but you only know, you know, only half of it works, but you don't know which half works. That's been around
Right.
forever and stuff. So how does radio fix that?
So what I usually do is I do a deep dive into your business to understand who you're looking for, how you what you're trying to accomplish, and then we set up goals. So there's a lot of things that influence how it goes. It's finding the right message for your business that people can know, understand, and act on. The other part is being on the correct station for the people that you're looking for. And then there are lots of ways to track it. But now, if you have a website and you have Google Analytics, we can actually give you a monthly report and see how many hits you got on your website when your radio ads played. And that's
Oh,
pretty amazing technology. And it's pretty new in the last few years.
well, that's cool. So if you
Yeah.
if you ran your ad like let's say 7 in the morning and all of a sudden your website's getting some hits, at that time frame ish, then you've been tracking it. You got to kind of figure that definitely the radio ad must have helped you out.
Yes. And we can even show here's what happened on your website on days you weren't on the radio and days that you were on the
Oh,
radio. And
love it.
then within 30 minutes, we can tell you if your website got busier after an ad ran. So it's pretty amazing. The other part of that is let's say you're running two different commercials. One, you've got mattresses on sale. One, you've got furniture on sale, let's say.
Okay.
Well, if you if we track the commercials, we can look and see which one's more effective. And sometimes you learn and you grow, and we get better at marketing you by what people are responding to. So I've actually had a few advertisers change their strategy and even change the days a week they were on, because they realized they weren't getting calls at the end of the week, only the beginning of the week. So we made all their commercials at the beginning of the week,
Oh,
and then evenings and weekends, because that's when people had more time. They would book their appointments online. So we stopped running on Thursdays and Fridays, basically, and then ran Monday through Wednesday, evenings and weekends, and it's done a great job of getting their appointments up. So there's all kinds of things we can do as we work together to get better and better at what your business needs.
yeah. So what are some of the stations you have here in the Valley?
So we have four. We have 100.3, the X, which is our big rock station that's been
Yeah.
in the Valley. It's our 30th anniversary this year. We just
Wow.
did X Fest um, last week, Wednesday, and I think I can't remember if it was 6,500 people came to see the rock show. It was pretty awesome.
Cool.
And then our next station is called 94.9 The River. This is a triple A format, which means adult alternative. So it's alternative music from the 80s till today. So it's singer songwriter stuff. It's the Killers. We play some Adele. We play some Sheryl Crow. We play Brandy Carlisle. It's an eclectic group, but that is my charitable group. That is my very high income, very highly educated group. We often say if you like 94.9 The River, you might like NPR
Okay.
radio. And then my third station is 107.1 Hank, and that is old school country. So it is the 70s to the early 2000s. It's only about a year and a half old, and people absolutely love it.
Yeah.
We get so much feedback. In fact, one of my clients hasn't been on the air for about 5 months, and she's still getting calls from the station wanting a new roof. So it's pretty powerful. And then our fourth station is Jack FM. It is all music, and it says we play what we want. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of 90s based, but we go down to the 80s. We can play something current. But I put this station on when I have people at my house because it's the party station. If you
Yeah.
don't like that one song, you'll like the next song.
Yeah.
You can
See,
hear a Led Zeppelin song, and then you
I
can,
like that station.
yes, it's a great mix of music. It's like your
Yeah.
own, iPod mix of music back in
Yeah.
the day, right?
Yeah.
It's everything. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So that's a good variety. That helps you out with when it comes to the different, which we'll get into here, is
Okay.
um, so when a market, or excuse me, when a business wants to kind of grow or reach out to new customers and stuff like that, how can radio kind of help with that?
Crazy thing is that radio is still we have thousands of listeners at any moment that you're on the radio station.
Right.
And I hear a lot about how people think kind of radio is old fashioned. But here's
Yeah.
the deal. As the Treasure Valley has grown, so has the radio listenership by a lot. So if people aren't
Wow.
listening to the radio, all these new people are listening to the radio because we've got way more people in the market that we can track that have moved here and are listening. The beauty of it is it's local, it's personal. People tune in for the traffic. Radio has changed as far as how long people listen, and that they do listen to Spotify and they do listen to some other things, which we'll get into on our next podcast. But we also sell online audio and Spotify and all those good things
Okay.
as well. We also have a streaming portion to radio where you can listen to it on Alexa, you can listen to it on an app on your phone, you can listen to it on your desk. So we
Cool.
have some digital ways to listen to radio as well. But the main thing is it's live, it's local, it's personal. We have on one of our stations doesn't have DJs, that's Jack, but the rest of our stations, all of our DJs are live and local and here in town. So you can get a feeling. You can use their voices and they're familiar to the Treasure Valley, especially to that audience that they're speaking with. And it just works, and it's a very, very affordable marketing tool. And that's the other thing I don't think people understand is they always go, oh, it's so expensive. It's like, it isn't really for what it is. If you compare it to any other form of advertising, it's one of the best priced mediums that you can purchase.
For the mass amount of people that are listening to it, quantity.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
And radio works with frequency. The more often that you can be on, the faster your campaign is going to work.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, um, so again, so that like to reach out, is that kind of one of the things where by being on like the radio and stuff like that, and like I said, we've grown here in the area. Plus, there's a lot of, you know, I mean, at any one time, how many people are listening? Hundreds, thousands,
Yeah. Thousands.
thousands. Okay, yeah, as I say, and that's a good way to get out to find new customers for a business.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, one thing we talked before we went on that I didn't know about is so companies a lot of times are always challenged about getting new team members, new employees. That's like a constant struggle. And so, how does how does that work with the radio? How can you guys help them out?
The cool part about using radio to recruit new people is a lot of times the people that might not be employed might not be the people that you want. Um, for example, some years ago, I did a campaign for St. Al's because they wanted nurses. Well, the nurses all have jobs because
Yeah,
nursing is a very, very sought after, you know, a profession, and there's not enough of them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so we talked about it, and we said, why don't we use radio to recruit nurses? Because you're getting people who are already employed, but maybe you have something better to offer, maybe a better schedule, maybe a little
yeah,
higher pay, or an area where that nurse would like it better than maybe working at where they're working. So you
yeah,
give somebody an opportunity to hear about something that they might not even have applied for if they hadn't heard your ad and went, huh, maybe I should do that. So that's where radio comes in. And the other thing about it is there's a certain amount of trust when you are a radio listener and you have your favorite radio stations. Most of us have two or three. There's an amount of trust that you have with the station and with the DJ and the on-air personalities.
yeah.
I think that you can't get from other mediums because it's so personal.
Yeah. No, that is true. Because like I said, I've had some DJs over the years listen to them and stuff, and um, some of them even have we bump into outside of in different worlds, and they're like just normal people.
Yep. Yep.
Just, but it's cool because you hear them so much on the radio, and then you bump into them in real life, and it's kind of cool. And like so, all the ones I've ever run
you
into have just
you
been
kind
some,
of feel like they're your friend, right? Because you
yeah,
hear about their life, you hear them talk about the things they're passionate about, and I I always love to go out to remotes because I love to watch the people want to come up and meet our DJs, and I
yeah,
forget that they're kind of little local celebrities, and
yeah,
it's just a guy I work with down the hall. But to most people, it's somebody that it's their friend. It's they listen to them
yeah.
every morning or whatever, and so I always love to see that reaction, and I forget, being so close to it.
Yeah, on the radio, the one thing I've noticed is some of the most successful companies here in the valley advertise a lot on the radio.
They
So if
do.
somebody thinks, radio must not work, I'm just one thinking, well, some of these companies have been around for, ever here, and they're some of the most successful companies, and they're on the radio all the time.
Yep.
So, so
And they wouldn't do it if it didn't work, right?
yeah, it wouldn't do it. And so, I don't know if you want to know the name of it, but like lately, there's a local t car dealership that, and you want to tell who it is, but they do a great job of advertising all the time in the radio. And recently, man, they went overboard on their having, motorcycle racing jumps and all that other stuff. I thought that was totally cool for the
Yes.
what do you call those for the remote? What do you call them when you guys they
Oh,
TV?
it's called the radio remote when we go out on
Okay,
location at a
yeah,
business. I'll spill the beans. It was Team Mazda. They have been a
yeah.
client of mine for 20 years. Um, um, they they have an amazing agency out of Eugene, and they believe in radio, and they know
Yeah.
that radio works, and especially in the Treasure Valley. So this particular company owns 17 different dealerships, two here in the valley and others. And somehow, magically, in the Treasure Valley, radio works. Well, we don't have any bigger cities. Like if you go to LA, every few miles, that same channel that you're listening to is a different radio station.
Oh,
Here, we can cover from not quite to Baker, but past Ontario to
right.
almost to Twin. And one of my stations even goes up to McCall. So if you can think about how huge of an area that radio can cover, no other places can't do that just because of where we are. which makes it a little bit more powerful than it is in some other bigger cities. But anyway, so they're a big reliever in radio. The other thing that they do is we have a lot of DJs that do endorsements. So that means that they personally say, I love Team Mazda. And it was really cool because at this event, our DJs got up, and between the two morning show DJs on 100.3 The X, they had bought 13 cars from the dealership. So they themselves are invested,
Yeah,
over the
you know,
last,
yeah, not
yeah,
only talk about them, but they believe in them because they actually use them.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They
And
do a good they really do a good job because they're fun and that I'm like a lot of people, um, car dealerships sometimes don't get the best reputations, but they've done a great job of branding themselves here in the valley and being fun and talking about how they service their customers. I think they've done a great
yes.
job.
And they're like family, and they treat you like family, and I think that makes a big difference. And it's easy to get behind businesses that are good people. Do you know what I mean? Just like
Oh
like
yeah.
like you vet out for NIA, right? You
Yep.
want good people in the group. I
Yep.
like good people as clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Uh, no, that's awesome. Um, so if you're a business and you're going to be making a big announcement, or big change or something like that, why is radio a kind of smart move for someone like that?
So radio can bring a lot of people to an event. The more fun and the bigger and the better you make an event at your place, the more people want to come and join it.
Yeah.
The other cool thing about us being there, like as an event, the value isn't in us being there. The value in us talking about being there
Oh,
and
okay.
making it personal and having those DJs say, hey, I'm here. This is what's going on. And even if people might not come right away, drop everything and go somewhere to do something, they're getting a more personal touch to what's going on at that person's business. So the value is way more the on air than it is the actual, but the visual is nice too. And like I said, every now and then people love to come out and meet the DJs. They just do. Um, but also the power is the advertising of your event or your whatever's going on. We just help to make it a lot more fun. And
Yeah.
and and I just a couple of weeks ago, um, a promotions place had gotten a hold of us, and they were doing a demolition derby in Emmett, Idaho, and and uh, and they wanted us out there to broadcast, not really to sell more tickets because we did a great job of advertising ahead of time, but they
Yep.
just wanted us to be part of the party and the fun.
Oh,
And they had the best turnout, they said, and we're going to do it again when they get ready in June. But what a fun event! What a different event to do. And I stayed and watched it, and it was very entertaining.
now what was that where they ram into each other?
Yes, yes,
I
and
haven't
and they
seen
do
one of
it
those
until
in
the last.
years.
Yeah, I hadn't since I was a kid at the fair or
I
something.
was gonna, I was gonna say,
And
yeah, I remember there's a kid just singing how I don't know where I saw it. I don't know where it was, but like I said, that's like a flashback for me because it's like, I mean, that was just it. That's crazy times. People just running into each other.
yep, and they fix up the cars and protect, and it's and every round is a last man standing, and then when and they have to haul the cars off with big machinery to get them out of there to put the new ones in. But it was very very entertaining, a lot of family fun. You saw people of all ages and walks of life coming to go, and it was just a fun atmosphere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, this has been great. Well, one thing I like to, and I didn't talk to you about this before, but just talk about, and it doesn't have to be even local. I mean, local. I mean, uh, uh, just what's someone that you're really proud of, a customer that maybe didn't use radio and you talked them into it and it really helped them out to be seen and get more customers.
So one of my favorite stories is a med spa here in town. They had advertised with me through an agency many, many years before, and he never had much results. And so I came to him and I said, "You should do radio." And he said, "Well, it didn't work." Well, I happened because I'm a pack rat, or I was. I happened to have the paperwork of what his orders were, and he wasn't on enough. It
Oh,
wasn't enough to move the needle, and it wasn't enough to get people in the door. And so I said, "You weren't on enough." And I could show him that. And I said, he goes, "Well, what would you recommend?" So I put together this whole proposal, and he surprised me by making me do it in front of his entire staff. which was a little uncomfortable, but I did it. And then he started off at an amount of money that I always feel like is makes you money faster, if you will. I can meet you where you are with budget, but if I could recommend, then I can show you how fast it can work. Well, it only took him a couple months till he was doing really well. I've now been working with him for 9 years,
Wow.
and the joke always was, um, Victoria, make me enough money to send my son to an Ivy League school. And then when his son got old enough, he joined the military. But he runs a very successful business. I help him pick his other radio stations, not just the ones that I work for, but also the other ones in town that he should be on. And I help him vet that by what's the best
Oh,
station to
cool.
fit what he's doing. And I can do that for anybody. I am not
That's awesome.
against other radio stations. Um, I want you to be successful as a business, and I'm going to recommend always what's going to make you money. That's my job.
See, I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's putting the customer first. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. This has been great. And what we'll do is we'll bring you back on because now we talked about the radio part, but then we'll talk about your next part. So give us a little teaser. So what? Yeah, the radio you do and advertising and stuff like that for marketing. But what are some other things that you guys do now?
So we have a whole digital department. It's for our whole company, but we happen to be lucky enough that the director and the buyer are here in Boise with us. So we're kind
Oh,
of special. So I can just run over to the offices and go, I have a question or I need something. But we have 17 different tactics, everything from television commercials while you're watching your favorite streaming programming to online audio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you like to listen to. We can geofinch your competitors if you'd like to know who's using them and walking through their doors and you'd like to
that's
serve them
cool.
ads so they come through your doors. You can tell me I need to find, women 45, 65 that want to look younger, and I can grab those and find them on the internet
Oh,
and entice them with ads to your business, your store or your service or whatever it is. And it's trackable, traceable. And oh, the other big thing that I've been selling a lot of lately is digital billboards. So we can buy the remnants of the digital billboards from multiple companies in this area. And the other thing with digital is if you have a company that has places, other places, I can do digital anywhere in the country.
oh,
So it
cool.
is not just the Treasure Valley. So if you got, say, a garage door company and you've got ones in Washington and Oregon and whatever, we can serve, and we do. We work with lots of companies that are in multiple states.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Well, perfect. So if someone was going to reach out to you, and I'll have everything in the show notes and it's not like that, but what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
I would say, call, text, email. Any of those
Okay,
three are just great.
perfect. And I'll have, like I said, I'll have that me easy for them. So, hey, this has been great, Victoria. I really appreciate it. Given, like I said, I always learn a lot from other people because again, you don't know what you don't know. And so,
Right.
radio,
Yeah.
you just, I'm a fan of radio though. I listen to radio all the time, and so
Yeah.
FM and AM and FM, and I'm just a old school guy that likes to listen to the weather and traffic and all that type of stuff from radio rather than just anyway. So perfect. Well, this has been another episode of Treasure Valley NA Quick Tips. And until next time, I appreciate it. Hey, thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Victoria.